This is a pretty amazing outcome. Now, what you and I are sharing currently represents the consumption of 100 grams of a probiotic known as Bifidobacterium animalis GCL 2505. Fairly common, easy to find at 10 billion colony forming units per 100 grams because it was immersed in a sweetened beverage. It was skim milk basically with a little bit of sweetener, as well as 2 grams of dietary fiber, something known as a prebiotic called inulin. So, synopsis, you have 10 billion colony forming units of Bifidobacterium animalis GCL 2505 and 2 grams of inulin consumed over a 12-week period of time, yielding these incredible results. First chart with the yellow bar is your visceral body fat, which contributes to inflammation and another whole other slew of negative metabolic outcomes. But look at this, 12 weeks. Look at that reduction in fat area with really doing nothing more than consuming this beverage. Now you have subcutaneous fat. Yeah, the line looks impressive, but if you notice, the ranges kind of overlap. So the researchers did not designate statistical significance to that, even though still impressive. And of course, the bottom, total fat area, statistically significant, very impressive overall. Again, after 12 weeks of doing nothing more than consuming this 100-gram beverage, which contains 2 very easy to find elements. But to proceed, also too, at the end, the research was done with the exact same formula, exact same length of time in regard to cognitive function, and I want to give you a brief introduction to that at that study towards the end. Let's get right into this study right off the bat to get into a few of the details as follows. All right, effective continuous ingestion of Bifidobacteria and inulin on reducing body fat, a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, parallel group comparison. Henceforth, you have a probiotic, a prebiotic, so you may see the word symbiotic, representing the combination of the two. The abstract, I'm just going to read right through it because it's worded quite directly and effectively. To proceed, Bifidobacterium animalis GCL 2505 has been shown to have several positive health effects, including improved efficacy, frequency, I'm reading directly, and reduced visceral fat. It is known that the combined intake of GCL 2505 and inulin increases the total number of bifidobacteria compared with the ingestion of GCL 2505 alone. So you can see kind of the backstory. They go, well, what if we gave this Bifidobacterium animalis, this probiotic, a little bit of food to have a better yield to its effect on the body's metabolism? And henceforth, it did. The randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled parallel group study was conducted to confirm the consumption of this probiotic, and inulin reduces abdominal fat. Participants consumed a test beverage containing 1 to 10 billion, basically, colony-forming units of this GCL 2505 per 100 grams and 2 grams of inulin per 100 grams. Again, it's not stated here, but it's a skim milk sweetened beverage for 12 weeks, once per day. Change in the visceral fat area was set as a primary endpoint. There were significant reductions in VFA, visceral fat area, and the total fat area. The intervention significantly increased the total number of bifidobacteria and affected the levels of several lipid biomarkers, like your cholesterol and so on and so forth. Regression analysis of bifidobacteria and measured parameters showed the total bifidobacteria correlated with visceral fat area and body mass index. So they tried to show a strong correlation between the two. While endogenous Bifidobacteria and Bifidobacterium animalis, lactis correlated with only the BMI, meaning taken without the inulin, just by itself, suggesting that increases in both contributed to the decrease in visceral fat area. These results suggest that combined intake of the probiotic and inulin improves the intestinal environment and reduces abdominal fat and associated with short-chain fatty acid-mediated pathways. How it works. All right. Now, I want to give you a little bit of the idea of the backstory. I'm not going to read through it due to time limitations. But as you can see, this kind of gave a lot of clues on why they should be looking at this as well. Noticing that these bacteria have a huge impact, or I should say this party microbiome, have a huge impact on a lot of the metabolic factors, especially when it is associated with total fat area. To proceed, highlight as to why. Why do we want to say visceral fat is an important fat? This is why. Accumulation of visceral fat induces chronic inflammation. Recent studies reported that the intake of this Bifidobacterium animalis, GCL2505, and inulin suppress chronic inflammation, a bonus, thereby improving the cognitive and vascular function. Further researchers need to determine the mechanism by which the intake of this probiotic and inulin suppress chronic inflammation by suppressing visceral fat accumulation. So that's why that fat is important, because the visceral fat is associated with the chronic inflammation. Henceforth, reduction of it improves that particular outcome. Now, in conclusion, the results suggest that the combined intake of this GCL2505, Bifidobacterium animalis, and inulin suppress the accumulation of visceral fat more compared to the intake of just one alone. Visceral adipose tissue has an endocrine function, and it secretes a variety of bioactive substances, including adipocytokines, which affect the risk of developing metabolic abnormalities. In terms of preventing the development of metabolic abnormalities, reducing visceral fat is relatively more important than weight or body fat as a whole. It is thought that the combined intake of this Bifidobacterium animalis, please forgive me if I give the whole name, I just don't want you seeing GCL2505 and getting lost, and inulin, which are functional food components that can easily be applied to daily life. Henceforth, 100-gram beverage, skim milk, little sweetener, a little bit of this probiotic, and milk with very good prebiotic, Synbiotic, inulin, and that was it, 12 weeks. May help prevent the development of metabolic abnormalities in overweight adults. Now, that's amazing. Now, this is like kind of like a little bonus that I want to share with you. I think this research took place in September, but it's interesting because things that tend to be healthy for you in one outcome tend to be healthy for you in many other outcomes. So let's just check this one out real fast. Since it's the exact same length of time, the exact same probiotic, the exact same prebiotic, 10 billion colony-forming units of the Bifidobacterium animalis, GCL2505, in combination with 2 grams of inulin mixed in with a skim milk beverage, yielded the particular results. And this is just a side note. There were significant improvements in scores in neurocognitive index domain, which is an assessment of overall cognitive function, in addition to overall attention, cognitive flexibility, and executive function domains. So think about this. Here you are, you're taking this beverage that has incredible benefits for cognition as well as total fat area reduction. It's a plus. And of course, that study as well is almost named the exact same thing. You may notice a little bit of the same researchers. Effective and continuous ingestion of bifidobacteria and dietary fiber on improvement in cognitive function, a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial. So some really, really good studies. But overall, what this video is particularly looking at is basically the reduction of body fat area in regard to the ones that were statistically significant, the visceral and total fat, and yielded an incredibly simple outcome, which is something that we're not looking at exercise program, we're not looking at dietary changes per se overall. We're just looking at the inclusion of some very positive elements in him helping enhance the microbiome, yielding those incredible results. Again, you got to give gratitude to the researchers. I say it every single video because it's important, because you want to help, they want to continue this type of research. So gratitude is a simple way of saying, hey, great job. Gratitude to the researchers, and of course, I am humbled you watch, which helps me relay the information to you when it becomes available, which would be interesting to see what you and I, again, share next week. Again, once again, catch you all next time, and I'll see you then. Bye-bye.